Welcome to our daily Forex market analysis, and this is for trading on January 22nd, 2020. Just a quick disclaimer here before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. As usual here, we'll start off by taking a look at our calendar. In terms of the news here, we have coming up on Wednesday here, we have inflation or CPI numbers here for Canadian dollar or for Canada, which will have an impact on Canadian dollar. With the CPI, these are one of the important numbers that the central banks will actually consider, and they track them on a regular basis. So this is a very important number to keep in mind. If the number is below the expected number here, that will be negative for Canadian dollar. So already there is pressure on Bank of Canada to maybe adjust the monetary policy, and if the numbers start coming out below expectations, that would be negative for the Canadian dollar. Now we also have Bank of Canada monetary policy statement. At this point, not expecting an interest rate cut. The main focus here will be on the statement itself and the report. So if the central bank or Bank of Canada is expecting a slowing down of economy, or if they are concerned over the trade wars or anything like that, that will be negative for Canadian dollars. So we just have to take a look at what the commentary is and what they have to say about the economy and what they're expecting in terms of economic forecasts for this year. And any sort of dovish comment here will actually have a negative impact on Canadian dollar. But if they say, for example, that they are not concerned about any type of headwinds, or they're not really worried about the economy declining this year, then we're likely not going to see much of an impact. We may see a bit of an uptick in Canadian dollar, but the main focus here will be to see if there are any dovish or negative comments. And then we have press conference here for Bank of Canada. Again, we generally see an initial impact when the monetary policy statement comes out, and then there would be, again, a secondary impact when the press conference happens. We also have trade balance numbers here for Japan. Even though this is not marked as red data, it is an important number. And especially if we see numbers that are below expectations here, Japan being such a trade-driven economy, the negative numbers will have a negative impact on Japan. So keep that in mind. And in the Asian session here, we have employment numbers for Australia. Same thing, if they meet expectations, then that will be good for the for Australian dollar. Same thing that we saw for our UK numbers this morning. All of them came in positive, and this is why we saw British pound go up. So same thing for Australian numbers as well. If they come in above expectations, we're likely to see it go up, and vice versa. Let's go on to our charts here. So with this one, we do have a bearish pin bar here, prices into support, so are close to support, so keep that in mind. But this is a nice bearish pin bar. I do like it. So bias here is bearish to the downside. I will look for price to drop further. Now we may have a bit of a pullback, so keep that in mind. But bias is to the downside. First target here is 1.1070, and second target is 1.1040. So bias is bearish for euro dollar. Pound dollar, yesterday we were looking for a move up. We got that, and now we do see that the price is into resistance, so we are into resistance here. With this one here, bias is neutral. We do have bullishness in this, but then there is a pin on top here as well, which means I would look for price to retest the high again. And if it holds below that, we are likely to see a drop. So as we can see here, price has been trading in this range for some time now. For over a week here, price has been stuck in this range. So I'm looking for a bit of a retest and then a drop back towards the bottom of the range, 1.2950. So bias here is neutral for British pound. Aussie dollar here, bias is bearish. We are already seeing a move to the downside here. And yesterday we were looking for price to retest the bottom here. It did that. Now still bearish, looking for the second target here, 0.6800. So bias is bearish for Aussie dollar. New Zealand dollar, this one as well. We are we're seeing price come into support, but still bearish here. We do have a nice bearish candle close for the day, so looking for a further drop here. In terms of the target, we're looking at 0.6550. So bias is bearish and looking for price to come into this support resistance level here. So New Zealand dollar is bearish. Dollar CAD here, price is looking to break out of this range. It's been stuck in this range for some time now. So now it's trying to break out. At this point, bias is bullish. We have a nice bullish candle close. Next target is 1.3100. So bias is bullish for dollar CAD. Let's take a look at commodities here. Silver looking bearish. Price went into the resistance and then it has dropped. So this is where silver has been trading for last several days. Now we are into support. Looks like it is trying to make its way down here, but this is a nice support level. So if it doesn't break through to the downside, it can go back towards the top of the range, but it is looking bearish here. So the next target is, once it breaks through the support, next target is 17.30. So bias is bearish for silver. Gold here, this is an indecision candle, but we see that it tried to break through the high, failed, and now that it has rejected the high of the range, I will look for price to drop towards the bottom of the range into 1536, into this support level. So if you take a look at it, it's just been sideways for the last number of days, rejected the high. Now I'm looking for it to come towards the support. So bearish bias for gold. Oil here, we had a nice bearish candle close here, looking for it to drop further. 57.50 is the target, which is again the bottom of the range here. And if it breaks through that, we're looking at 56.70, but bearish bias for oil. Copper here, a big drop in copper, still looking bearish here. Next target is 2.72, so bearish bias for copper. Bitcoin is still stuck in that range here. It went and tested the support level at 84.50, didn't manage to go through, so it's sideways at the moment. So bias here for Bitcoin is neutral at the moment, just looking for it to trade within this range between 84.50 and 89.80. S&P 500, we had a bit of a drop here in S&P 500 with the virus here, coronavirus. It has the markets worried a little bit. Doesn't look like they are too worried at the moment, even though we did have that initial response to the downside, and now we did see that price pushed up. At this point, it is holding so close to that resistance level. With this one here, my bias is neutral. I'm going to look to see how it does at the high, 33.20. If it doesn't go through, only then I would look for price to drop. But because it's pressuring the high, this one could go higher. And if it breaks through that resistance, next target is 33.50 and then 3400. So at this point, my bias is neutral. We need to see how it reacts to the high. Nasdaq here, we have a neutral bias here as well, but overall, it's still holding on to that that bullishness here. We've had quite a run in the equities markets here. It's neutral bias, but it is pressuring the resistance. So this one could break out to the upside. So watch out for that. And in terms of the target here, the first target is 92.80, and then we are looking at 93.50 as the next one here. So bullish to neutral bias for Nasdaq. Dow Jones actually dropped here. This one we have a bearish candle close. And we'll have to see how this one goes. So bias is bearish, but if the other two take off to the upside, Dow Jones is like, Dow Jones is likely to go in that direction as well. So keep that in mind. But if it doesn't break the high though, I will look for it to come back towards 29,000. So for now, bias is bearish for Dow. DAX here, this one is still stuck in this range that it's been trading in. So bias is neutral. We could see it go towards 13,580, which is the resistance level. So I will look for it to go a little bit higher. But if it goes through the high though, then 13,800 is the next target. But for now, it's neutral bias because it is still trading in this range. It hasn't broken out. So watch out for the break here though. However, if it doesn't break, look for it to come back down. So neutral bias for DAX. FTSE here, FTSE we see a bearish candle close here, but as we can see, this one has also been stuck in this range for a bit, for several days now. So I would say bias is neutral here for this one as well. And I'm looking for it to trade within this range between 75.30 and 76.80. So bias is neutral for FTSE. Nikkei here, we did have a nice bearish candle close, but price is pushing higher at the moment. But so I would say bias is bearish, but keep an eye on it because right now it wants to be going higher. And if price holds below 23,900, I will look for it to come back towards 23,700. So bearish bias here for Nikkei. So looks like the different indices are, they're not quite sure what's going on here. The US index is still pressuring to the upside. So just keep an eye on things because we could see things change, especially if we see more comments in regards to the coronavirus, and if the problem becomes worse, then we could see equity markets drop as a result of that. But if it kind of dies out, then we are likely to see them go back up. All right, so that's it for today. We will call it a wrap here. You guys have a wonderful trading day, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.